Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored with Steve Taplin. Welcome to Software Leaders Uncensored. I'm your host, Steve Taplin, 25-year serial tech entrepreneur. My new book, Fail Hard, Win Big, is coming out next month. It's my story of 30 ventures, 20 failures, and 10 wins. The common element throughout those was always building custom software to differentiate my company. I'm currently CEO of Sonotify Technology, a nearshore software development firm. And today, I am joined by Mark Myers, PhD out of Memphis, Tennessee. Mark has an incredible and unique background from engineer to architect to project manager to professor to CTO and CEO. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Steve. Pleasure to be here.
Mark, you have worn a lot of hats and you're now the CEO of a startup. Please walk our listeners through your life journey that's led you to this.
Thank you so much, Steve. I started off as a really humble farm boy in the areas of Jackson, New Jersey, but all through my life, I was instilled with the idea of education.
See, now I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I wouldn't even have thought there was farms in New Jersey. So you're educating me.
Yeah, so some people call it the Garden State. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I never put those two together. Please keep going.
So from there, I went to college. I majored in physics, which was an extremely great area to study. It opened up the idea of distilling things into its most quote unquote atomic forms, and met a weird group of friends that we remained friends throughout my life. From there, I went to work for several Fortune 500 companies, such as FedEx, and in the U.S. Army and the U.S. Navy as a consultant. One thing that implored upon me while I was working at these places is this idea of becoming a domain expert, this idea of knowing everything about the requirements, what people do with their business, and then try to develop a software architecture that would best fit their needs. So from there, I decided to get my master's degree in computer science and met some amazing research professors, Robert Cosma and Walter Freeman. These guys are in the area of what's called computational neuroscience. So there was this idea that you could become a computer science engineer and move into any domain. But what I found was that if you could move into a single domain, own it, understand it the best, you could write the best native programs out there. So that was my goal.
Smart. Very smart.
Absolutely. So I worked with these two individuals and found this amazing area called computational neuroscience and specialized in this area called biological neural networks. From there, I got a position at University of Tennessee, a health science center in the area of anatomy and neurobiology, and became what's called a translational scientist. This is different from a basic scientist, and that is I build devices that will go to market. And some of the early devices I developed at the time was an automated anesthesia device. We could actually help the anesthesiologist do their job and maintain the concentration of, say, propofol within the bloodstream. So,
wow.
It instilled on me that I could come up with my own ideas and do what it takes to go to market. And from there, I met an amazing professor, Dr. Edward Sham, who himself was a translational scientist and showed me a lot of the ropes. One of the most significant areas that I was able to gain was not only come up with an idea, a product, which I built a company around, but this idea of how to get funding. And this is fundamental because, a lot of folks will go out, knock on the 500 doors, get the classic 2% return. But what I did was hone my experience in terms of getting grants. And my first success was with the National Science Foundation. And I was awarded what's called a National Science Foundation Small Business Institute grant. And then phase 2, which is extremely competitive. And all in all, with those grants, I was able to get matching funds from the state of Tennessee. All non-dilutive. Yep. We own all the company and was able to make our first prototypes that were tested. So the momentum is now building with private investments in this area. The product itself is called an ambulatory seizure monitoring device. And at the root of this device is our AI-driven solution. This idea that we could train on individuals' brain signals and, more importantly, extract the features of the seizure and then apply artificial intelligence to these features in order to train based on historical data. And let me tell you, historical data does not necessarily come from the patient. It comes from a tremendous host of other seizures. So we don't have to take a huge amount of time to train per patient. With that, we apply the device and it can find the seizure and, more importantly, transmit that data remotely to the physician to provide a rapid diagnosis.
Now, Mark, this is your company, Neurodyne, correct?
That's correct.
So within all of what you just told us on your journey, when did you get your PhD?
I got my PhD in 2011. At the same time, I also got a second master's in biomedical engineering. Some people would say, while working full time, that's crazy. And yes, that is crazy.
Well, you clearly have a thirst for knowledge. So, this Neurodyne, was this your first venture as founder CEO?
I've been involved in several startups in the classic .com days, and that was a lot of fun too, learning how a lot of efforts were bootstrapped together, mostly through friends and family, sometimes through a small degree of investment. But the thing that really implored upon me was not only the little bit of money that you need to do something big, but the amount of effort and the heart it takes to do these type of startups, and that's what we bring to this product.
No doubt. And so you got Neurodyne funded through grants, which is phenomenal, smart. It takes some research, which I guess what I'm hearing you're really good at. What sparked the idea for Neurodyne and the problem that Neurodyne's ultimately solving?
So using concepts through computational neuroscience, this idea of biologically based neural networks in order to solve real world problems such as seizures that when an individual is admitted in a hospital, 80% of the time they're turned away. So we took on a very, very difficult problem, not only having our software elicit these type of features and then train on it, but do it at home, which is the noisiest environment of them all. So we then started to develop additional software, this idea of adaptive filtering, which would then focus specifically on the signal so we can get the purest data possible for us to apply our algorithm. So all these challenges came together, but the team I have and where I came with a lot of my ideas in terms of implementing it drove not only the passion that I came through this, but also the same passion through the people I have involved in this. And so a lot of times we may not be making a tremendous amount of money, but we're working our heart out to trying to solve this thing.
So tell us about some of the current projects you're working on.
So the first device we're going to release is this ambulatory seizure monitoring device. We're about to release also what's called a traumatic brain injury device by using the classic data science approach. So there's a whole spectrum when we talk about data science, right? Versus the conditioning of the data. So you get the finest data possible to do processing. Sometimes we do a high degree of verification and cleaning up of the data. And then past that, we do feature extraction of the actual incidents, and then we apply machine learning to that problem. Finally, we apply visualization. It's really visualization that's going to be key to distill all this complex data into something easy that the user can see and make a determination. So that's how we're approaching traumatic brain injury, as well as concussion in the field, your classic MASH areas, as well as the tents that you see in any professional or amateur game. We take the individual into there, and from there, we apply this device in order to get a quick snapshot of exactly what's going on. Beyond that, go ahead.
Now, as before the show, you were talking about your remote ambulatory epilepsy monitoring unit. Is this different or is this the same thing?
So it's all resigned on the same platform, and that was key to our approach to develop an architecture that was not only reusable, but can be applied to all these other algorithms. So all this architecture does is give us the clear signal in order to apply our algorithm. And we had to have that platform. We obviously spoke to other people in the market, the classic build or buy, as they say in software development. And we found that we could develop the best data acquisition system, a classic electroencephalograph that is applied onto the scalp, easily applied through our cap, everything that's what's called dry electrodes in order to not have any external messy gel to make conductivity. So think of it as a computer. We built our own computer to make our software work.
And very few individuals I've ever met have this blend of neuroscience, software engineering, and medicine and medical experience. You bring a lot to the table. Tell us about your engineering team and how it's structured and kind of the working model you guys do.
Absolutely. We are a distributed team. Almost everyone works remotely. We have an amazing software manager who takes my ideas and miraculously makes them work. We also have a hardware engineer that works on the data acquisition system based in the University of North Carolina in Charlotte. His name is Jeremy Holloman. I have an amazing CEO, Cedric Johnson, who helps offload a lot of the project management duties from me. He's based in Mississippi. And then I have several corporate fundraisers, and they're distributive as well, anywhere from Los Angeles, California, to once again Hernando, Mississippi. So through this effort, we're able to not only develop this solution remotely, but cobble together as a tightly coupled team. And we speak very natively to each other most of the time. We finish our sentences, and it's really the drive of the solution that enables us to build this product.
Now, tell us about the unique tech stack in the products you have.
Yeah, so the products themselves, beyond say seizure detection and more importantly prediction. Again, I was mentioning our DoD solution, one that does a traumatic brain injury assessment in the field. We're about to move into yet another study in sleep apnea in partnership with George Washington University. And then beyond that, on our calendar, we hope to move into what's called migraine prediction and then eventually tinnitus cessation. That is actually stopping tinnitus real time with your classic ear probe, and then bring quite a lot of comfort to those who are suffering from tinnitus.
I'm just wondering which major medical device company is going to buy you out. Is it going to be Medtronic? Is it going to be one of the other behemoths? Because it sounds like you're doing fascinating things.
I would take all of them.
So your tech stack, you're dealing with cellular devices, phones, networks, the cloud. Walk us through how all these pieces work together.
Right. The architecture that we've developed has, of course, its data acquisition component, and that really could be anything. As we move beyond, say, neurological issues and say start moving to auditory issues, it's still the same architecture in terms of data acquisition. It's always trying to gather the cleanest signal possible, and it'll be a high degree of data cleanup that comes from a biological source. They tend to move in analog type of fashion versus digital. So we have to do that conversion. And then we start moving to localized data processing as well as data communication component. And right now that's done through a smartphone. We can interchange the need for that smartphone in terms of cellular communication by building our own native ASIC that would do just that. But in terms of user interface, you can't beat the smartphone. So ideally, we would develop our own smartphone through an SDK to eliminate a lot of the overhead and just to use, say, the screen as well as the cellular aspect. Beyond that, then comes the cloud solution. Currently, we're using Amazon Web Services, AWS Cloud Solution. And from that, we do all of our AI processing. And also, we do user feedback as well. Everything's processed in the cloud. And whatever we need to process and the physician or the patient needs to see, we pump it right back to the smartphone. Additionally, we have a high degree of alarms as well as signaling, all pushed from the cloud solution. So we take advantage of the architecture within Amazon in order to perform a lot of these ideas. So that's
amazing.
And we're able to reuse it over and over again. This idea of a reusable platform that we could introduce new algorithms through.
Amazing. So as a founder and CTO in today's world, what's the biggest challenge you're facing now?
Well, so much of what I find is based on demographics. The area I live in doesn't happen to be the highest area for medical investment, but we move to the classic areas, right? Your Bostons, your LAs, your Silicon Valleys, and these are areas that accept napkins and will give you several $1 million based on your idea. So to try to get that native understanding of what we're trying to do and build that type of investment that people will see an immediate return on investment. As a side note,
are you saying we need to kickstart Memphis, Tennessee to get some more investment going there?
That is the understatement, yes. And I'm saying, not just Memphis, but the Mid-South. It's a traditionally hard area, aggressive area to try to grow plants and sand, where you have other areas that have a high degree of acceptance of brand new ideas. But we've been able to overcome that. We've been able to overcome that through not only grants and matching grants, but also outreach to the major investment areas that hopefully will invest not just in this plan, but invest in this idea of what we call a neurological corridor, where we can help individuals, say, within high school, as early as high school, to get the bug, get the idea, and want to develop their own scientific solutions.
Phenomenal. So what's next for Neurodyne? What kind of milestones and breakthroughs are on the horizon?
We hope to enter the market by Q4 of this year. We already have commitments on our initial Seizure device. We'll also be releasing the two other additional plans, the DoD TBI device, as well as the sleep apnea device. The sleep apnea device is a tremendous market. 1 out of 3 individuals have sleep apnea, either congenitally or induced. So from there, we will not only verify the data that we currently have, but once again introduce the same software within our platform. All of this we hope to achieve by the end of this year.
What a phenomenal mission your company has in blending science with technology to provide meaningful solutions. It's phenomenal. Mark, what would you tell someone coming from academia who's considering launching a health tech startup? What advice would you give them?
It's an excellent question. I also teach as well as everything else I do. And I teach at Christian Brothers University, and it's actually just fundamentals in pure science. But the students ask me all the time the same question: how do I go where I'm at today and do the things I want to do? In my opinion, college serves 2 purposes, right? The first purpose is they don't teach you ground floor type activity. That is, they expect you to come with some degree of interest, some degree of actually application, and college is there just as a gap filler. They'll fill in the areas they have questions in that you need more expertise in, and that's what the professors provide. And the second most important thing is networking. You have to get out there. You have to speak to people with a similar interest. And from there, you may do things that such as Steve Jobs did and Bill Gates did, and a number of very successful individuals who met individuals in college and was able to take their ideas directly from there and possibly, just like Facebook, develop something extremely exciting way before you graduate college.
That's phenomenal advice. Mark, what's your favorite part of being a founder and CTO on your current venture?
Yeah, you have to know everything. You have to know not only the technology, but you have to know marketing and sales, regulatory processes, reimbursement. No one can get away from understanding a business if they want to go into a business, right? They just can't hand it over to someone else because, frankly, they may risk losing their business. So you always have to keep a hand in everything. And it may seem daunting, it may seem a huge hill to climb, but so much of your passion will drive a lot of these efforts, a lot of this understanding. And that's what I'm finding today. Now, that's not to say, much like Fred Smith, you can't surround yourself by very, very smart people, and they will handle a lot of this heavy load. And that's exactly what I do. I come in, bring a person in with the idea that they're professionals, that they're eager to do their work, and most of the time they show me that's exactly the case. They'll take the ball and run. It's something else I don't have to worry about.
So what's one brutal lesson you wish you would have learned earlier as a founder and CTO that you know now?
Yeah, I say move to California. And there's this saying that says, unfunded projects make you simply a hobbyist. So with a funded project, now you're real, right? Now you have something that you can not only make a living off of, but continue to work on. So getting to those friendly areas of investment, I joke around about California. There's other areas, of course. But I'll tell you what else is exciting, Steve, is this idea of trying to grow exotic plants in sand. This idea of trying to make your effort happen where you live and bring the excitement to where you're at, bring the monetary value to where you're at. And if I can achieve that, yes, the science is very exciting. The products that we're using are very important. But to make this effort start from ground zero, nothing beats it.
Fantastic. Well, Mark, thank you so much for getting uncensored with us today. I can't even express how excited I am to see how your venture Neurodyne continues to evolve and how you're bringing neuroscience, technology, medicine together. Any final shout outs or advice you'd like to give to tech leaders out there?
Well, first I want to thank my group, right? Brett McFerrin, Cedric Johnson, Jeremy Holloman, Josh Herwig. All these individuals have been instrumental to helping me out, and they have the bug, right? They have what it takes to take a bootstrap project and bring it to market. And so it's the same idea I would tell other CTOs. Find those individuals that are passionate. Be that evangelist, right? Convince them that what you're doing is important, not just beyond the monetary return, which can be very nice. What you're doing is something that no one else has ever done before. And that's something that you'll talk about in your old age.
That is fantastic. Thank you, Mark, so much. That's it for this episode of Software Leaders Uncensored. Stay bold, everybody, and keep building.
Thank you.